morning. How are you? I'm so excited to see you here at Vacation Bible School Day 2, where we are on our journey through God's big story. Yesterday, our theme was creation. Can you believe that God made everything, including me and you? How awesome is that? Today, our theme is a very terrible thing, and we will be reading a story about the broken promise. Our verse today is, "She took the apple and ate it, and gave it to her husband, and he ate it too." Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. Some hand motions that we can do with our verse are when we say, "She took the apple," let's reach like we're taking the apple off the tree. And then when we say, "and ate it," let's pretend to bite the apple. Next, when we say, "and she gave it to her husband," extend your hand like you're offering the apple to the husband. All right, let's all try to say the verse together. Are you ready? Let's go. She took the apple and ate it, and gave it to her husband, and he ate it too. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. Way to go! Awesome job. All right, well, I hope you're ready for a great day at Vacation Bible School with lots of fun and learning ahead. Now grab your maracas and get your singing voices ready.
Yeah, he made us all, yo. Yeah, God made us all, yo. God made me and you. Sing, children.
Though we all have a different story,
Come on.
God made me and you.
Me and you, yo.
God made me and you.
For our joy, yeah.
For our joy and for His glory.
For His glory.
God made me and you.
Me and you, yep.
God made me and you.
Yeah. When God created the heavens and earth, He did it to show off His glory and worth. In Genesis 1, what we see in each verse is God made a world that is truly diverse. From icebergs to insects, tornadoes to trees, from lions to lizards, flamingos to fleas. Each in their own way, their God they are praising. Their differences cry out, God is amazing. But the crown jewel of the work of His hands are made in His image, both woman and man. We're not accidents, we are part of His plan. Yup, God made me and you. Let's go.
Though we all have a different story,
God made us.
God made me and you.
Yeah.
God made me and you.
For our joy, y'all.
For our joy and for His glory.
For His glory.
God made me and you.
Yeah.
God made me and you.
Come on. Just as two snowflakes are never the same, each person is different, unique in their frame. God made them all, each kind and each sort. He made some people tall and some people short. Dark skin, light skin, and all in between. In each color and shade, His beauty is seen. The Lord knows the number of hairs on your head, whether brown or black, whether blonde, gray, or red. What some call ethnicity and others call race, we should celebrate as a gift of God's grace. You're wonderfully made from your feet to your face. Yup, God made me and you. Let's go.
Though we all have a different story,
We all different.
God made me and you.
God made us though.
God made me and you.
Yeah.
For our joy and for His glory. God made me and you.
Yeah.
God made me and you.
At the cross, we see what God's love is about. There's no type of person that Jesus left out. Because Jesus died and rose from the grave, all those who trust in the Lord will be saved. In the book of Revelation, chapter number 7, the church from all times is gathered in heaven. Each tribe and people, language and nation, all thanking God for the gift of salvation. Together, forever, with saints of all kinds. Through each the glory of the Lord's gonna shine. This is exactly what God has designed. When God made me and you. Let's go.
Though we all have a different story,
What?
God made me and you.
He made us all, y'all.
God made me and you.
For our joy.
For our joy and for His glory. God made me and you.
Say what?
God made me and you.
Yeah.
Different colors and different shades, all fearfully and wonderfully made. Through each the glory of God displayed.
God made me and you.
For all of our you, all are lost. All of great need for the cross. Jesus died, rose, and paid the cost.
God made me and you.
Different colors and different shades, all fearfully and wonderfully made. Through each the glory of God displayed.
God made me and you.
For all of our you, all are lost. All of great great need for the cross. Jesus died, rose, and paid the cost.
God made me and you.
Hi kiddos, we're day 2 of VBS and I get to read you a story today about the broken promise. God gave Adam and Eve a beautiful, adventurous world. They lived in a garden filled with animals and streams and rocks and fields and hills and flowers. It was always sunny and it was never ever rainy. In fact, it was so perfect that Adam and Eve didn't even need shoes when they ran through the hills or the fields or the water. It was never too hot or too cold, and there were no sharp things to hurt their feet. These brand new people had everything they needed, and everything was good because that's how God made it. God knew what was best for Adam and Eve because he had made them and had made their hearts. And he knew that there was one rule Adam and Eve needed. Remember how God had promised them that he would always give them the food they needed? Well, he told them something else. They could eat any fruit they found in the garden except for the fruit from one tree. The tree was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is an important name for an important tree. This tree was forbidden. That means it was totally against the rules. God told Adam and Eve that if they ate the fruit from the forbidden tree, they would die. Nothing had ever died before, but God knew how to make Adam and Eve understand what that meant. They heard God say that not eating from that tree was the one rule they had to obey. They heard him promise he would always give them all the food they needed, and they understood. So they enjoyed the land and the sea and the animals and the other amazing food that grew in the garden. They were happy and their hearts were always connected to God. Until one day, everything changed for all of us, forever. A snake started talking to Eve. Seriously, a snake talked. It wasn't like any other snake. This was a snake that wanted to be God. He was so bad that he didn't want Adam and Eve to obey God. The snake said, "Hey Eve, did God really tell you not to eat the fruit from that tree over there?" Eve remembered what God had said, so she probably thought that was an easy question. She looked at the tree and then back to the snake and said something like, "Yep, that's what God told us. He said we could have any other fruit in the whole garden, but we just can't have fruit from that one tree or we will die." She had heard what God said and she remembered what God said. Except the snake didn't actually want to know what God said. He wanted to make Eve stop believing what God said. So the snake said, "Nope, you won't die if you eat the fruit. God knows that if you eat the fruit, then you will become like him." This wasn't true. But you know what? Eve had stopped listening to God and started listening to the snake. She looked back at the tree. It was a really pretty tree. And the fruit looked so yummy. So even though God had told her and Adam not to eat the fruit or they would die, she reached out her hand, picked the fruit off the branch, and took a bite. Adam was with her, so she gave him some of the fruit too. They both ate the fruit. Uh-oh. Of course, God had told them the truth about what would happen. He always tells us the truth. So when Adam and Eve ate the fruit, their hearts were immediately different. They didn't feel the same heart connection to God. They felt ashamed of who they were. They wanted to hide from God. They now had hearts that would die. Adam and Eve were sent out of the garden, and God was right. They did have a lot of problems and sadness for the rest of their lives. They also had children who had children who had children who had children, and all the people of the earth came from Adam and Eve. And all the people had hard hearts because of Adam and Eve disobeying God. This would be a really sad story, except for God's promise to the snake. Here's a big grown-up thing for you to know. God's promise to send someone to crush the head of the snake is the very best promise, because it means that one day we will have a world like the one Adam and Eve had before they disobeyed. So this story is from Genesis 3.
separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus? What can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus? What can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus? Nothing, 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 yeah! Yeah! We are more than conquerors. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are more than conquerors. Here we go. We are more, that's right, than conquerors. Through Him who loved us, through Him who loved us. We are more than conquerors. Through Him who loved us, through Him who loved us. Here we go. What can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus? What can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus? What can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus? Nothing, 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 yeah!
What did you think of our Bible story today? Did you learn something new? Because Adam and Eve disobeyed by eating the fruit from the forbidden tree, their hearts had changed, and that meant that there would be trouble and sadness in the world. But God had another promise for us, and that was that He would send someone to save us from our sin. And we will get to hear more about that tomorrow. Before we end our day, let's say our Bible verse one more time all together with our hand motions. Are you ready? Here we go. She took the apple and ate it. And she gave it to her husband, and he ate it too. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. Nice job. Okay, I'm going to leave you with some questions to help you think about what you learned in today's Bible story. 1. What happened to Adam's and Eve's hearts after they ate the fruit? 2. What can hard hearts not do? And 3. What did God promise would happen to the snake? And remember, when God gives us a promise, He never breaks His promise because He loves us so much. See you tomorrow.